Zelensky out of the game already. Europeans are sweating bullets on the White House, and DOGE is losing its charm. Well, this is Trump this week, and today we are going to discuss. Yet again, another week on Trump's world. Remember, this is Trump's world, and we just live in it. And well, you like it or not. And today, yet again, we bring you the top 5 events involving Donald Trump this week because it affects not only the US but the rest of the world. So, the Trump's top 5 for the week. Let's start. The first one is actually an outstanding news regarding Ukraine. Zelensky and Ukraine, apparently they are back in the game. Just a couple of days ago, we were discussing on how this war, the war in Ukraine, is gonna end with a Russian victory. Basically, Putin and Russia, they are gonna get everything they want. But Zelensky said, hold my beer, maybe we can have a game changer right now, and is regarding the minerals, the several minerals that Ukraine has on their soil. So the last week, we know that Trump and Zelensky went back and forth. Trump called Zelensky dictator, and he took it back this week. And Zelensky, that Zelensky is kind of like a spoiled child, something, he doesn't take criticism very well. Well, but apparently they reached on some sort of agreement regarding the payment on how Ukraine can give back the US all of the, the benefaction that they got from the US regarding the war efforts. That the amount is around 120 billion US dollars. That mostly came from the Biden administration, but apparently even Trump wants to collaborate with Ukraine, but this time, in exchange of something. Very good on that. Well, apparently, Zelensky now, first, the negotiation was tough between Trump and Zelensky. They are very, strong-willed leaders. And now the end result will be that the US will get 50% of the minerals to be developed on Ukrainian soil, and that particular money is going to go to a joint fund that will be split equally amongst partners. In return, Trump is going to bring military aid, military support, logistics, weapons, machinery, maybe technical support, and the US, yet again, will be involved on the war in behalf of Ukraine. This particular scenario was a complete surprise. Just a couple of days ago, we discussed how the war is right now, and how actually we thought that the war is going to be over soon. I hope that happens, that the war is over soon, but it's going to be the most likely scenario is on Russia's terms. But apparently, both sides want to keep fighting, and sadly, it's going to cost life on both sides. But the good thing is, yet for the Ukrainian people, is that they are not gonna go down without putting a fight, and they will have the resources in order to do so. One last thing, this particular video is being recorded just before the meeting that Zelensky will have with Donald Trump on the White House. If something extra happens, we're gonna have it here on this platform. We have an update. The meeting just happened, and a lot has happened since the recording several hours ago. The meeting took place on the White House, and the outcome was horrendous. President Zelensky and President Trump just indeed had such meeting, but the thing turned on a on a disaster rumble between Zelensky, Trump, and JD Vance. The meeting was going great. However, the vice president, JD Vance, said a couple of things to Zelensky. Apparently, he has this habit, the vice president. He did it with Starmer. I believe he did it with Macron as well on this week. But this time, and unlike Starmer and Macron, that they are more, more diplomatic, and they just ignore him, Zelensky took the bait and started a feud back and forth between, of course, Trump, Zelensky, and Vance, and actually he was kicked out of the White House. I never seen anything like that happening before. Watching this, well, we all are Marco Rubio. Let's put here Rubio's reaction to this particular feud. And yes, yeah, that was my face when I just found out. And then after just this rumble between Trump and Zelensky, Zelensky and his delegation went to another room on the White House, and sadly, Marco Rubio, that wasn't very happy, actually, he felt bad for this thing, went with the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, and they had to tell Zelensky that he has to leave the premises. Yeah, a sad moment indeed, but it didn't end over there. First, they canceled a joint press conference in the White House. Here are the picture, just the staff putting everything, putting back everything together. And I mean, it's not all over afterwards. The Zelensky got on the evening an interview with Brett Baer from Fox News, and still holding his position. He is not apologizing to Donald Trump. And then, just a little bit later on CNN, Marco Rubio gave an interview as well, of course, expressing, more diplomatically the views of Donald Trump, the presidency, saying that Zelensky is out of place. Well, so everything just has changed, and now Donald Trump has decided, apparently, to basically withdraw any cooperation with Ukraine first, with the energy grid in the country, in Ukraine. That was in the US were helping on that, and also military assistance. So this thing can end badly, even in Ukraine. People are upset with Zelensky. The parliament apparently was some information about an emergency meeting on Ukraine's parliament, maybe for impeaching Zelensky. And the mayor of Kiev also gave a statement, basically apologizing for this, impasse, mayhem that we got with Zelensky and Trump. So the situation looks bad. This is not my job covering the situation in the war with Ukraine and Russia. This is the third time that I have to record a video this week about this topic that is not my particular, let's say, area of expertise. But yeah, here we are, and now that's the news that we have. The war is not, apparently, we don't know what's going to happen, but the Russians are having a laugh. Even they issue a statement saying this, and of course exaggerating a little bit. It is what it is. It's business. So let's wait and see what happens. If we have another update on the weekend, on the next week, we're gonna cover it here. Number 2 is that Europe is sweating bullets, literally. We know that since Donald Trump came to the White House yet again, Donald Trump is more isolationist compared to their predecessors, especially the Democrats. And he is not a very big fan of NATO and this Atlantic Alliance. And there has been a bunch of back and forth. Just a couple of weeks ago, JD Vance went to Europe and basically criticized how Europeans are doing things. But right now, apparently the European members of NATO are worried because most of them are underperforming on their mandatory contributions on military spending for NATO. That has to be over 2%. A couple of members they are not reaching that goal, but they are poised in order to enhance their military spending to around 3%. For instance, the UK is pledging that it's going to rise their military spending over 2%, 2.3, 2.5 on years to come. And the lackluster, the underperforming European members are pledging that gonna surpass the 2%. Very cool on that. And of course, by far, the biggest contributor to NATO is the United States, not only on financial spending, but also on military technology. And now the plan amongst the European leaders of NATO is basically defending themselves that because they seem that the US might not be around, at least not 100% involved on defending European nations of NATO. So this week, the two biggest leaders in the European members of NATO, Emmanuel Macron from France and Keir Starmer from the UK, both visited Trump. Trump is, acting tough like he is used to. And both guys are concerned, about this. First, the situation in Ukraine, that they don't want this thing to get out of hands because the next quote unquote victim of Russia could be anyone, could be the Baltic countries, could be France, could be the UK, could be Germany. And actually, Trump himself, he joked with Keir Starmer saying, can you take Vladimir Putin by yourself? And the answer is, well, of course not. But anyways, now we don't want to see those scenarios on the near future for everyone's sake. So they are moving the rear ends in order to increase spending for NATO members. Number 3, this week we had the list, the famous list of this particular Jewish last name gentleman that he passed away, and he had a list, let's say a very compromising list of people, individuals, high-profile individuals on this particular island, that things happen. Now, you know that I'm not a conspiration theorist or something like that. And so, I don't know, but still, it's on this thing, this week's top things. So the particular list has been released partially, and according to there was a back and forth with the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, and she released a partial list of individuals that might or might not be involved on visiting this particular controversial island. On the names, there are several high-profile names like Michael Bloomberg, the former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, and the famous supermodel Naomi Campbell. So, yet again, even if they were on this list, I don't know what they're doing on that island. I mean, this is not my cup of tea. This is not, usually my topics du jour, but yet again, well, still happened this week involving Trump. Number 4, we have a situation with DOGE that the honeymoon might be over. Remember that Elon Musk is running this particular agency called DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. They are slashing funds like there's none tomorrow from public spending, which I think is a good thing. However, apparently they are overdoing it I'm talking on the pace that they are doing this thing. And it's course, creating severe backlash, a bunch of malinvestment from public funds that happens at any government, also some crazy overspending, uh, like theater play for trans on South America, things like that. But also they are slashing funds from things like AIDS and diseases research in Africa and things like that. So, and also they are curing people and feeding people in very, very poor places. So also, I mean, not all is bad regarding the public spending. However, they are fighting a lot of people. It was a controversy this week regarding an email that DOGE sent to federal employees saying, what did you accomplish this week, in order to see if you are working or not, something like that. And many people are upset. Even people within Trump's own cabinet. Also, there is the controversy that Elon Musk was involved, he was invited on the first cabinet meeting of Trump, since now every member has been approved by Congress. So right now there is this controversy. Some people on the cabinet apparently don't want Elon Musk there, and actually he was the star. He was the most prominent figure on the first cabinet meeting. Here we can see him with his dark MAGA hat. Yet again, so apparently there are frictions regarding DOGE and the rest of the Trump administration. Of course, federal governments are upset. Some people are already being fired, let alone the Democrats are upset. But even within the American society, according to some polls, DOGE and Elon Musk are not as popular as you might think, even on the hardcore base, their political capital of Donald Trump. And lastly, number 5, we have the new gold standard of migration, the Trump Gold Card, that will replace the green card granted by the EB-5 visas. We already explained that on the past video, but still, it has to make the top 5. And yet again, this is an investment that an international that has first the net worth and the ambition to migrate legally to the US, they can do so, making a $5 million contribution to the US government that, according to Trump, it will be used for paying the national debt, that you need around 10 million, you need 7 million, but the market for that is around 10 million. Yet again, for me, is over 100,000, but that's a completely different discussion. Anyways, it's an interesting option for migration. This is a game changer for migrating, high-end migration all over the world. And it's an interesting proposition, but see how it plays out, and also if it happens on the first place, regarding some legal barriers that will have to surpass. According to Trump, doesn't require Congress approval, but according to legal experts in the US, it does require some Congress approval. So let's see what happens. Thank you for watching Continental Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media, and if you want to work with us, continentalinsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.